Hello televiewers, it is a pleasure having you again for the news on DBS TV beginning this week of November 9, 2020. After shutting down illegal plastic and liquor production companies in the city of Douala the previous weeks, authorities of the littoral region have continued their anti-contraband battle in Nkongsamba, Mungo division of the region. Visiting some local sachet water production units, the administrative authorities and security forces noticed the poor and unhygienic environment as well as materials used for the production, a high health risk for consumers of the sachet water. Water, which is supposed to be life, has instead been made a source of illness for the populations who have been consuming the products, thus the shutting down of the illicit production units. Not only is the source of the water uncertain, but the conditions in which it is preserved is also deplorable, added to the inappropriate packaging and conservation. Before proceeding to the shutdown of the illicit business, security forces seized the sachets of water and have engaged legal procedures against the fraudsters for the law to handle them accordingly. In health news, the government of Cameroon continues to caution citizens to keep on respecting coronavirus measures as infection rates of the pandemic continue to grow. This comes as the Minister of Public Health, Manauda Malachi, has again reported a sharp rise in the number of cases, topping up to 22,421 as of Sunday, November 8. Previous reports showed a contamination rate of 600 new cases of COVID-19 in 2 weeks in the country. Also, the country now has 433 COVID-19 deaths, 21,510 recoveries, 478 active cases, and 41 in intensive care, according to a tweet from the Public Health Minister. A government communique signed by the Minister of Communication, spokesperson of the government, Rene Emmanuel Sadi, on November the 2nd, calling on Cameroonians to keep respecting COVID-19 barrier measures, still has its place. He insists that all the measures taken by the head of state to stop the propagation of the virus and protect the people are still in place, and all teams designed to work on COVID-19 detection and treatment nationwide are still operational. Cameroonians are therefore called upon to carry on with the wearing of face masks in public places, respect of social distancing, as well as the regular washing of hands. Recall that coronavirus is neither defeated nor eradicated in Cameroon nor in the world, so the strict respect of the measures in place are still necessary to prevent the spread of COVID-19. Pascal Affi N'Guessan, Ivory Coast opposition leader and former prime minister, was arrested on Sunday, November 7, for creating a rival government after President Alassane Ouattara's election victory, his wife and spokeswoman said. The opposition claims Ouattara has violated the constitution by seeking a third term. Ouattara says approval of a new constitution in 2016 restarted his mandate and allowed him to run again. Over a dozen opposition leaders who boycotted the 31st of October vote in which Ouattara won a third term in office and announced they were creating a transitional council are being pursued for terrorism charges by Ivorian prosecutors. N'Guessan served as Prime Minister of Ivory Coast from 2000 to 2003 under President Laurent Gbagbo, whose refusal to concede defeat to Ouattara after the 2010 election led to a civil war that killed an estimated 3,000 people in the country. The standoff has raised fears of another round of instability in the world's top cocoa producer. Guinea's incumbent president Alpha Condé has been re-elected for a controversial third term with 59.5% of the vote, the Constitutional Court announced over the weekend. Judges found Conde's support was above the absolute majority needed to win in the first round. The court ruled out the opposition produced no evidence after it claimed irregularities in the October 18 vote. Conde's main rival, Cellou Diallo, received 33.5%. Deadly pre-election clashes surfaced after Conde, aged 82, pushed through constitutional reforms enabling him to run again. There is no way for the president-elect's opponents to appeal the Constitutional Court's decision, leaving him clear to begin a 6-year term. His actions have raised fears about a democratic backslide in Guinea. Similar moves were made, as stated earlier, in Ivory Coast after President Alassane Ouattara was declared the winner of an election last month after running for a disputed third term. As tensions grow high in Ethiopia, Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed has sacked his army chief, head of intelligence and foreign minister as the military continues a 5-day operation in the northern Tigray region with a new round of air raids. Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed's office announced their replacement on Twitter, giving no reasons for the changes as the reported number of soldiers wounded in the conflict continue to rise. There are fears the conflict could lead to a civil war, which could also destabilize neighboring countries. Army Chief General Adem Mohammed is replaced by his Deputy General Berhanu Jula. Also, the intelligence chief, who is the Amhara state head, has been replaced, as well as the foreign minister. The changes came a day after the parliament, in an emergency session, voted to dissolve the government of Tigray, saying it had violated the constitution and endangered the constitutional system. The United Nations said 9 million people were at risk of displacement from the escalating conflict, warning that the government's declaration on Wednesday of a state of emergency in Tigray was blocking food and other aid. Several bodies have been unburied in newly found mass graves in western Libya's Tarhuna region, bringing it to a total of 112 exhumed in recent months, the Missing Persons Authority said. The graves found this week are the latest in a string of grim discoveries in Tarhuna, and executions continue. Lofty Taufik, who heads a committee tasked by the United Nations recognized Government of National Accord to search for missing people, said on Saturday, November 7, that 5 new mass graves containing 17 bodies had been discovered since Thursday. Located in Tarhuna, the graves are said to be not far from where Eastern-based military commander Khalifa Haftar's forces launched an aborted assault last year in the capital Tripoli, seat of the GNA. Note that the area, some 80 kilometers or 50 miles southeast of Tripoli, served as the main staging point for Haftar's failed offensive. Over to Bolivia, Luis Arce was sworn in as president on Sunday, ushering the country's powerful Socialist Party back into power a year after long-term leftist leader Evo Morales was ousted amidst angry protests that sparked off a political crisis. The unassuming and decorated President Arce told a packed assembly of lawmakers and guests in Congress, alongside his vice president, that we have before us the great challenge of rebuilding our economy again, of generating certainty, of generating growth. He pledged to defeat the pandemic in the country, which has one of the worst death tolls per capita, and to heal political rifts and put an end to fear after deadly violent protests last year, as heir apparent to Morales, Arce scored a resounding first-round victory in the October 18 elections, outpolling his chief challenger, Century's Carlos Mesa, by 26 points. The 57-year-old was inaugurated in a ceremony in the highland city of La Paz in front of head of state from Argentina, Paraguay, Colombia and Spain, as well as senior officials from Chile, Iran and the government of Venezuela's Nicolás Maduro. U.S. President-elect Joe Biden has taken the first steps towards taking over the White House 73 days from now. As congratulations poured in from world leaders and supporters nursed hangovers after a day of celebrations, the 77-year-old Biden and Vice President-elect Kamala Harris, 56, launched a transition website, buildbackbetter.com, and a Twitter feed, Transition 46. The president-elect on Sunday, November 8, signaled that he plans to move quickly to build out his government, focusing first on the raging pandemic that will likely dominate the early days of his administration. The Center for Presidential Transition, a non-partisan advisory board, urged the Trump administration on Sunday to begin the handoff to staff supporting Joe Biden, whose victory continued to grow in magnitude as states completed their ballot counts. However, Donald Trump has showed no signs of being ready to admit defeat and continues to doubt about the election results. Police in Belarus on Sunday detained nearly 400 people in the last protest against the Belarus president Alexander Lukashenko. For 3 months running, tens of thousands have taken to the streets of the capital Minsk and other cities every Sunday to protest against the disputed re-election of Lukashenko, who has been in power for more than 2 decades. This week, the protesters were also reaching out to U.S. President-elect Joe Biden. Local media reported a heavy police presence, with human rights group reporting that at least 395 people were detained across the country, mainly in the capital Minsk. The demonstrators are demanding power to be handed over to Svetlana Tikhanovskaya, a political novice who ran for president against Lukashenko on August 9 and who is now in exile in Lithuania. This sums up the essential of today's edition. Thanks for watching and have a wonderful week in the company of programs on DBS TV. Good night.